Hi, this is KCC. I'm here to talk to you about multicultural marketing. You probably wonder what that is, Now, before we go further, why are we looking at multicultural marketing? Now, as you know, the world economy is going into dire straits. The challenges out there, and recession is expected, and it's going to affect corporations, organizations worldwide. Doesn't matter which country you're in. Invariably, there was some way and some form of recession that's going to impact business. And for any business, if that happens, it will invariably affect your revenue, affect your costs, and so many other factors, right? And on top of that, interest rates is going up as well. And in some cases, banks are recalling back loans, and this is going to add financial pressure to a lot of organizations. And therefore, in the total sum of it all, it's going to be a big pressure against profitability. Coupled with the fact that inflation is happening in most countries and it's increasing at a rapid rate, your cost of running business is going to be higher, and your supplier is going to charge you a lot more than whatever you have been buying at, and that creates tremendous pressure on SME. And not just on yourself, even if it doesn't put pressure on you as an organization, but even suppliers that you have might be affected if you are not affected. But it's the fact that they get affected by the recession, by inflation and so forth, and they can't do business with you anymore, it will invariably have an impact on your business. So this whole scenario that we are now facing has a big impact on the whole ecosystem of the business world, right? And as we know, these are challenges that we face. And the question of how we're going to solve this problem at the end of the day. And I'm sure the answer people will say, oh, let's put effort into increasing our sales and marketing. How are you going to do that? Or you turn to the next person and say, oh, you work harder. Everybody needs to work harder. All of you know working harder is not the only solution. There must be a better way to deal with these challenges. But remember, all these challenges doesn't only happen to you, it happens to everybody. So the issue is not what happened to you, the issue is how you respond to what happened to you. If the response is working harder, well, a lot of people know how to work harder. Of course, there are other strategies, and a lot of people decided to go into online marketing, digital transformation. All this is great, But fundamentally, there are some things that need to be taken care of. And that is increasing your market and increasing your sales. So how do we do this? Traditionally, what you have done as a business is you sell your product to your customer, right? And after you do pretty well and you thought, okay, I'm going to increase my sales, I'm going to increase my revenue, what do? Well, I go and find more products and sell to my existing customer. But when you do that, and maybe you went well, maybe it doesn't, but if you went well, what are you going to do more after that? Because you have to increase your revenue. So you're going to get more product and sell to the same customers. But what does all this mean? When you only think in terms of increasing product lines for the same group of customers you have, it means that you have higher inventory. And of course, when you have higher inventory, it means higher costs. And of course, you can't be sure every single product you bring in is going to be successful. So there's going to be more risk, right? So what I want to suggest to you is to break through this traditional mindset of how you're going to increase your revenue. And there are strategies that are going to be different than how you do so. And we call this multicultural marketing. And you look at the metrics that I indicated. Now on the vertical line, you see this culture, can be either single or multiple. On the horizontal line is product services, which is either single or multiple. Now, as I say, most of us started selling our products to a single culture because we are comfortable with that culture, probably it's our own. We are familiar, we know the language, we know how to get that across to them. And as I say, most traditional business will do the second step of finding more products and selling it to the same culture that they are familiar with. But as I've summarized just now, you get more inventory, more capital required, more cost required, more risk, and obviously you're going to have the fact that as you have more products, your whole management system will be much more complex than before. Now, nothing wrong with that, that's fine, but I'm suggesting an alternative, maybe a better alternative, and that is to, instead of talking about the same product for single culture and then you go and get more products for the same culture, I'm suggesting that you now take your very successful first products and look at how do I culturize my existing product for a multiple culture, for another culture. That would be a much safer thing because you don't need more inventory because you have the same inventory. It's just that you have to culturize the product, maybe some relabeling or reconfiguring, but it's a lot less risky compared to otherwise. Now, as I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with going to the other path of selling more products to single culture or multiple culture, but I think that right now the first step that I want to suggest that you do is to look at how can I take what I have, my successful products, how do I culturize it for another culture? And that requires some planning and thinking, but that's the right strategy to go along as far as I'm concerned. All right? Now, what does that mean? Well, culturalizing a product means you have to design your product to fit that different market segment. Some doesn't need a lot of work, maybe some just need some translation work, some may need some repackaging of some kind, but it's the same product, right? So you don't have to have tremendous increase in terms of inventory. Now, the very important thing in multicultural marketing is you need to understand the new culture you're going to. You may need to understand their needs differently, their desire differently, and their impact is a bit different comparatively. Obviously, different culture have different inclinations, different desirables, so you need to understand that a bit than before, right? Does this make sense to you? Of course it makes sense to you. Now, why is it that some organization that they're so entrenched with one market can only count the market? Well, because they don't know how to enter the new market, they don't know the other culture, they don't know their likes and dislikes, or their present product is configured in a way that does not appeal to the market that they can expand into, or it may be in fact the product they have could repel the market they intend to go to. And sometimes people say, oh, I don't speak the language, but that become like a handicap. Just because you don't speak the language doesn't mean that you cannot go into that market. Obviously not, right? And very often is, I don't have that cultural connection, I don't have the network. Now this is a realistic issue. That means I have a customer base of a particular type of culture, but for me to go to another culture, I don't have the network, I don't have the people, I don't have the customer base. That's where we suggest you look into this, right? So why should you enter into a multicultural? Because if you keep focusing on the same market, it's going to get saturized. And obviously, the market you go for has its own weaknesses and its own issues. Particularly in some cultures, a lot more complaining, a lot more demanding. Whereas the larger population of the cultural market may be an easier market to go into. It's just that you never tried, you don't know about it, and it's something that you need to look into. So we want to suggest that you extend your product to a larger multicultural segment in your country, because we believe that they may have more influence and higher purchasing power and even president. And other cultures have certain inclination to certain products that your present culture may not have. So it's the biggest opportunity for you to build a new segment of the market, right? Now you may be thinking, but I don't really have that market. Well, that's where my next concept of leverage marketing comes into play. Very often people always think in terms of selling my product to my customer. What's the next smart thing to do? The next smart thing to do is to sell your product to other people's customers. And that's where you can leverage on platforms, you can leverage on other customer base, and that's where we, Quest Promotion, can help you go to another platform. All right? So in conclusion, we can help you to penetrate the other market. Talk to us and we will see how they can be done. So think about this. Multicultural marketing is the way to go if you want to expand your sales and revenue. Thank you. This is KCC signing off.